Welcome to our meeting. My name is Claus, and I'd like to start by reading you a little poem, a poem that is with me since a long time, and I'm pretty sure you will like it. It's called The Invitation by an American Indian elder called Oriya Mountain Dreamer. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are in conjunction with the moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if in spite of life's betrayals you remained open or shrunken and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can live with pain, mine or your own, without trying to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can live with joy, mine and your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty, every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand on the edge of the lake and shout to the silver full moon, yes! It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after a night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will still in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company of yourself in the empty moments.
Claus Kostka, thank you for the fact that we'll explore what the meanings, the real meanings for even being here. Allow me to come near you and to be grateful to good company,
Yeah.
and to Seeds for Happiness. The Seeds for Happiness are the best company, and
That's a great place.
yes, Klaus. This is a beautiful poem, beautiful story, in fact, from your book. I love you. I love you.
And what's now?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what's next? Yeah.
Yes. Wow. We use this word, love, in so different. You told me before starting to record this program about the words and their function, that they're covering the truth, our truth. Yes. Your life, it's an extraordinary trip, starting from a witch. Please share with us, how do you became psychotherapist,
Yes.
facilitator in family constellation,
Yes.
and the founder, the author of a unique technique, the deep
Soul breathing.
breathing.
Yes. So what do you want to know? I can easily fill up a couple of hours, I guess.
Because time and space are relative
I know.
to our desires. So I think each one of us has an important point in the life, a landmark from where we are beginning to flow. So please, about the figure of the witch in your life, the witchcraft. And
Well, you know, initially I never thought to be a therapist. I didn't know what I think to be, but I didn't think to become a therapist. But as I had some personal problems in the age of between 20 and 30, I did a lot of different programs, therapies and stuff. And one of this was a training group led by two women. One was quite old and the other one was quite young. And I consider them both as kind of witches. And actually the younger one brought me on the way to work myself, because she basically kicked me out of the group. And she said, if you want to come back, you will have to start working yourself, because you've been in training groups long enough. It's a waste of time for you. You can indulge it, you can go on indulging it, but that's actually nothing what you have gotten your life for. So I thought, well, at that point I thought, well, I'd rather stay with this group, so I do what she wants, you know. But afterwards, it became clearer and clearer and more apparent that that's just my contribution to this world. You know.
And you were 27 years old.
Yes. And I've been politically active quite some time, and I once organized a so-called Easter March, like in the peace movement. That was around the time when the U.S. government wanted to have new nuclear weapons in Germany. I live in Germany, and I made a passionate speech on this Easter March, you know. And then afterwards, a young lady came to me and she looked at me, you know, with big, great starry eyes, and she said, "Oh, it must be wonderful to have a life so fulfilled that it is worth fighting for." And it hit me like a hammer. My life wasn't worth fighting for.
Wow.
I had no good relationships.
Yes.
I was a mediocre student. I was most of the time wasting my time. I drank too much. I smoked too much. All of that.
And you knew all this in that moment.
In that moment.
Very important, because this is quite difficult to see to mirror ourselves
Yes.
and to declare, publicly declare what we really are.
Yes, I saw this in that moment and I thought, I will never go back and do a speech like this before I have not found some healing and before my life is not worth living it, you know. And
Yeah.
so I started to have some therapy, and this gradually developed into being in seminars, into training groups, and then this lady told me, it's now your time. And then I started.
Yeah. Yes. Our life worth live them. It is the main problem of all of us. So to feel that this is quite a significant life. So your life became significant.
Yes.
Since that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was as if someone had opened the door for me. And I was very grateful for that, although it was painful at the same time, because I couldn't go on being the one I was before. That was quite tough for some time, you know, because we're so used to our patterns and to who we think we are and who we pretend to be, you know. And if then someone takes away the curtain and you kind of like naked, you go like, oh, I don't like to be naked.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah. So, for example, here we are in the television studio.
Yes.
So we are covered or naked, or what does it mean to here to be authentic? Because television and authenticity, it is quite.
Well, I was thinking about this before I came. It's my first interview ever.
Oh.
You know, so I was a little like excited, a little stressed, and all of this. You know, and I was thinking, what do I have to lose? And then I came up. No, I have to lose nothing. I will say who I am. I will say what I think. I will say what I feel. And if the people don't like it, okay, I'm sorry. Then they don't like it. But that's who I am. You know.
Very important,
Yes.
Klaus, what you said now.
Yes, because you know I see people so often, like in the constellation seminars or in my private practice, they're often so concerned with how they are perceived.
Yeah.
And they have so little self-esteem that they always need an external force to tell them you're good, you're fine, you're wonderful.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's one of the biggest traps we have, because we are wonderful. We are unique human beings. Every one of us has a spark of God inside himself, but most of us have forgotten.
Why?
Well, one might be education, because, you know, in a way, I'm a traditionalist. So I think it's very important. It's not important to teach your child to go to church, but it's very important to teach your child that this world is like a puzzle. It's like interwoven. It's like everything has an effect on everything. If I do something here now, you know, it will have an effect maybe even in China or wherever.
Yes, butterfly effect.
That's
Yes.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think when children start to understand this, I have 4 children, and I hope I think that the older one understood. The little one is still 12. He starts to understand. And you know, it's not important what I do in the world. It's not important if I have a lot of money or of that. But it's important if I can relate to someone. If I can relate, if I buy something in the grocery store.
If you can relate with the grocery store person.
Yes, yes. And if I pay and I can look at her and go like, she's a human being. She's taking my money. And maybe she has a problem at home. Maybe that's why she's so grumpy in the moment. So I just smile at her and ask her, how are you today? Not like the Americans do, how are you today? You know, like really.
Really.
And sometimes they look at me and go like, oh, thank you. So it's like as if something from the inside comes out.
Yes.
And this is one of the greatest gifts we can have with human beings, you know. Like this moment of
touch,
connection. This
connection, touch.
Yes.
So, about raising children.
Yes.
What is the most important thing in education?
Well, never think that you as a parent know everything. Just consider yourself to be a friend of this being who came to you and who wants to learn about the world. Always give him or her a choice. Of course, there are certain things you don't give a choice, like running on the street when they're small, or using a screwdriver to go in an outlet. There were some rules in our house which are absolutely clear and strict.
For example, if one, sorry for interrupting,
No
one
problem.
of your children said, okay, I don't need university, I don't want to learn.
No problem. My middle son, well, one thing I asked of them, that's actually the same my dad asked of me, I just remember. I asked of them, please, I would really love you to pass your, I think it's, in American it's GCE, in Germany it's Abitur, to finish your school so that you're able to study if you want. And they said, okay, we can do that. But both didn't study. I mean, the two boys, and the girl didn't study either. So the first one became a carpenter, and he's happy with doing carpentry. The second one became made an apprenticeship in a hotel, and now works in the service in a very fine restaurant, and he's completely happy. And he says, I'm going to make a career, and I will be what's the word, a manager for food and beverage. You know, he's absolutely clear, and he's happy, and I'm happy because they're happy.
Wow. This is the most important declaration in the field of education since many days. So you allowed yourself not to project your wishes in order to have the same road as you have it.
Yes.
But this is very difficult because parents are trying to repair their lives with the lives of the children.
That's true. I remember this little joke about the lady who sits in a train cabin, and opposite there is another lady, and she has two kids, 3 and 5. And then she says, oh yeah, she wants to get in contact. You have really great kids. I mean, they're wonderful. How old are they? And then the mother looks at her and says, well, the lawyer is 3 and the doctor is 5.
Wow. Yes.
That's it, you know. And we have no idea how much suffering we inflict on our children if we ask of them things we think that are important. Give your child everything you can give him. Give him your love, give him your presence. For the first couple of years, never let him alone in the evening. You know, when he wakes up, you should be there. Maybe in the other room, of course, but you should be there. You shouldn't wake up, be alone. Yeah? Don't beat your child ever. Don't shame your child.
Don't shame your child.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you do.
No. You know, if we had a practice, like when we were, sometimes as a parent you get angry, of course. It's okay to be angry. But it's not like you do not yell at the child. You do not make the child small, like this. You know, you express your anger. Sometimes it's loud. Sometimes it really drove me crazy. It's nuts. I'm angry because you're not doing this. And then in most cases, I added, but my anger is not your problem. It's not your fault. Because my anger was my personal makeup. Oh, sorry, I tapped on the mic. My anger is my personal makeup. The content, that was completely right. But the way how I expressed it was mine. And then I had this wonderful experience. We had a terrible time once, my oldest son and me, like in bathroom, you know, like in the evening. It took forever, you know. Brushing teeth. I don't want to brush teeth, you know. Okay, I'll sit here. I'll wait for you until you're ready. And of course, frequently I exploded, you know. And one evening I again exploded. And when I just wanted to say, and it's not your fault that I'm angry, he looked at me and said, yeah, Daddy, I know. It's not my fault that you're angry. That was like, yeah, he got it.
Yes,
you know?
yes, yes. Every time that we find a human being being angry, we may know that it is not our fault.
Yes.
But it is difficult to feel this if we have no chance of such kind of experience as you evoked. So the suffering of a parent and the conflict of a parent are transmitted to the next generation.
Yes.
You explore this in a particular way.
Yeah, I explore it. I see this over and over again in family constellation work. It's a work I do since year 2000 approximately. I do it. I have done it internationally, and I come every second month to Romania. I'm very happy to be here again, you know. And what I see is children have of course, every child loves dad and mom. Every child, no matter how much they are a pain in the ass. And what they want is, they want daddy and mommy to be happy, and they do everything for it. So now, and I see it day after day after day when I do the work. Now imagine, daddy is depressive. His dad died early. He was still a child. He had to take care for the family, more or less, and he was way too young. He had no youth, you know. He had no really like childhood, you know. So when he grows up, he might end up being depressed. Now he's a dad himself, and the little one looks at him and goes like, it's not a conscious thing. The little one looks at him and feels it. Dad is not doing well. And then what the little one does is, the little one tries to take over energetically for daddy, to make him proud under any circumstance, to do everything that he might wish for. And it goes even so far that the child is taking over like personal history of dad.
Yes.
Like
to repair the
yes, to repair. But it's not possible, of course. The child cannot repair that. It's way too much. It's too big of a task for a small child. You know, and it's heartbreaking from time to time to see this happening, because when such a child grows up, you know, what he or she will do afterwards is she will go on doing it. He will go on doing it with partners, with friends.
Yes, and he will try to find those kind of partners and friends in an infinite circle. Yes?
Exactly.
Wow, and when the parents get divorced or something, the children feel great responsibility.
Absolutely.
Or if one of the parent got ill and terminal illness, for example. Wow.
Yeah, I had this also. Oftentimes, you know, when parents divorce, in a lot of cases, a child feels guilty. Oh, they divorced because of me. Especially when they're very small, like 2, 3, 4 years old. And if the divorce didn't went well, so dad was never talked about anymore, and the child was forbidden to see him, you know. That's a real big thing. Or if the child has not been allowed to say goodbye to daddy, because daddy is going to die, because mommy thought, no, I can't do this. It will be too traumatic, like, you know. It is not. You know, always give your children the choice. Tell them, you know, that is going to go away. He will never come back. He will stay with us as a memory. So do you want to talk to him once more? Do you want to see him once more? And leave it up to the child to say yes or no. When my mom died, it was like 15 years ago, before the funeral, there was this little basement room, and the coffin was in there. And my middle son, he said, I want to see grandma again. And my oldest son said, no, I don't. I want to keep her in memory as she was. So him and me, we went down, we opened the coffin, we put away the lid, and he looked at her and said, yeah, goodbye, grandma. And he had made a little drawing, and he put it on her chest and said, that's a present for me. And then we both closed the coffin again, and we both screwed the big screws in, you know. And that was kind of like a symbolic act of ends. It was very beautiful, you know. So every child has a completely different way of going into life, perceiving life, choosing life. And we should honor that.
You evoke this scene of saying goodbye and closing a chapter maybe or from life. It is very beautiful, and in this way we may feel that each day, each moment is unique. There's a beginning, a middle and an end.
Yes.
But we are stuck sometimes beyond time and space in a kind of phantasm, some phantasmagoria maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Jane Fonda once said, we treat the world as if we have a second in our trunk.
Yeah.
So I changed it a little bit. We change our life as if we have a second in our trunk, the trunk of our car. And, well, I think there is something like reincarnation, but that's a purely personal belief, you know. And at the same time, I think we should do what we have to do the moment we're here with all our intensity. Like that. Like you know, probably you know this book, Alexis Zorbas by Zorba the Greek,
yes.
by Nikos Kazantzakis. He describes once he comes into a little place and he sees an old man, and the old man is in his 90s, and he plants an almond tree. So Zorba goes to him and says, "What are you doing, old man? You will never grow old enough to harvest the almonds." And the old man looks at him and says, "Maybe that's true, but I live my life as if it's without end." And Zorba says, "Yeah, and I live my life as if it could end every moment." And I think it's not a contradiction. You can live your life as if it is without end, with a full understanding. You have to live every moment fully. You know?
I think the core of love, it's connected with this.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see love? What's the meanings and the practical consequences of loving our dearest ones?
Well, you know, love has become a very widely misunderstood phenomenon. Like, it's perverted. Like, cats love, dogs love, No, I think love is the glue that, in the deepest depths of our existence, holds existence together. Although our world looks like a hell realm, it looks terrible, and it gets worse every day sometimes, I think. Although that is so tangible, I think that love is that what really keeps the world together. And concerning the dearest ones, love does not mean, hey, what can you do for me? Make me happy, you know? Be good and bad. Cook wonderful meal, you know? Whatever. No, it means, what can I do for you? It's really like, you know, how can I serve you? You know, and this gives a complete different twist to love. Of course, that there may be arguments because we're human beings and we're not always have one opinion and this, but you know, in lightest consequence, what can I do for you? How can I make you happy?
Okay, what are the limits of this service to the other? If, for example, he needs another woman, This is a common phantasm, for
Yeah, I
example.
know.
And
I'm
the
a man
wife,
too.
what? Okay, I love you, my dearest husband. How can I serve you with your phantasm and your need to try the forbidden
Fruit.
fruit?
Well, you know, that's a nice song of Joan Armatrading. She says, I love you, but not on every price. So I have my limits. And it's totally okay to have limits. I'm not, you cannot ask a limitless service of me. And that's also a question to know yourself. Where is my boundary? Where's my limit? You know, when my wife comes to me and says, you know, Klaus, I got to know this wonderful guy and I'm going to spend the next week with him in whatever, Corfu, Creta, whatever. I'm pretty clear. I would say, well, you know, sweetheart, first I would be hurt. It would be really painful. And I would say, you know, sweetheart, you have to make a decision. I don't think I can support that. If you want to do this, then we will have to look for another solution for our relationship. But I'd rather have you to stay with me. You know? So, really, like, serving someone does not mean to do everything. It means to be clear. This is my width, and within this I can do everything. But if it goes further, I have to address it. And maybe the other person takes a step back and says, well, I don't mean to hurt you because you're too important for me. You know?
So it's a matter, if we try to experientially define love, we arrive to the limits.
Yes.
And I think the limits are very important in the life instructions.
Yes.
What are the origins of our limits, and of course, how can we extend or do vice versa with our limits?
It's a very interesting question. I've never thought about that. What are the origins of limits? I can just make it up, you know, like like more universal, I would say my soul came into this world to make certain experiences, to grow. And when my soul leaves again, it takes the experiences with her, and then she comes back, or he comes back and goes on. So I think in this area there are predefined limits. And I know I'm on thin ice here, but I want to say it anyway. If my soul came to this life to make the experience to kill someone, I will most probably do not have the limit to not kill someone. And I know that sounds kind of tough, and I feel it's tough, but I cannot only take the good parts, the good sides. Because if my soul comes into this world, maybe to make an experience of service or of help or of whatever, then this will define my limits. And of course then there is education and upbringing, you know, because they define a certain corridor in which you live. But the great thing about this is that we are not we're not forced to stay in this corridor, in this hallway. There we can like really extend our limits, because we grow, we make different experiences, and the more we make different experiences and we feel it's good for our existence, the more we get wider. You know, for example, for quite some time, I had a big problem if a woman had a slight smell of alcohol. That comes from my family of origin, and so I was completely like, oh, like this. And then after a time, I realized that not everybody who drinks a little alcohol must be an alcoholic, you know. So I could let go of this. I made my corridor a little wider. Stuff like this, you know. And that's a wonderful thing because it can happen on a really day-to-day basis.
Limits are connected, in fact, with the authority. So it is not so easy to deal with the authority who said, do this, do that. So, from your experience, how can we play to be, not to play the role, to be the correct authorities? And what mean the correct authority?
You mean for children or?
Yes, for children and
for
from
adults.
children within us.
Well, when you're authentic, it's really like about being authentic. And, you know, I'm 60 years now, and I lost the illusion that every human being is the same. You know?
Diversity, it's a reality.
It's
experiential reality for you.
Yes. And you know, there was a time when I thought, well, if everybody gets only enough food, enough love, enough this, enough that, they all will act in the same way. No more. You know? So being a source of authority for someone means that I allow myself to be who I am, even if I'm very different than the other person. And I do not try to bend. I do not try to put myself into a form that I'm not. I just go like, that's me, and this is how I perceive things, and this is how we can do it, or this is how it should be.
So diversity, in fact, it's the root of lovingness.
Yeah.
Diversity, the access to diversity. Yeah. So I can love you if I realize that I'm here, you are there.
Yes.
We represent two different inner worlds. Yeah. It's a lifetime process.
It's a lifetime process. We are one, but we're not the same. Like that.
Yes. Yeah. And now the soul and the deep breathing of the soul. I realize today, having the chance of meeting you, Claus, that you have a certain quality of energy and of relational time-space. You allowed yourself, even here in television, to have some seconds of reflection, of thinking. And this is the very important, the pattern, your pattern, energetic, I don't know, relational pattern. Yeah, and it's like kind of breath, breathing.
It's like, you know, I take a moment time. And yeah, you're right, I breathe in that moment. Because I completely lost the illusion that I'm someone who knows everything and who has to answer everything. And if you would ask me something I had no idea about, or I could not answer, I would say, I'm sorry, I cannot answer. I'm sorry.
Yes, and of course I have to put clever questions. Yes. And you have to give the clever answers.
Right.
And
so it's like a competition. But you know,
what? A competition for what?
To be the best.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in this. I'm interested in a contact with you. I like you, you know.
Yes.
And it's really like, how can we grow together in that little moment we have together? Maybe we meet never again, but at least this moment we have, we should really fulfill, and we should really like take the most out of it. I get ideas from you. I get moments from you. You get ideas from me. So we it's like a process of fertilization. Yeah. And
are there persons who trouble you about trying to connect and who annoyed you from the beginning?
yeah, of course. Of course. And
Of course, this can happen to be even a client, a patient of you.
yeah, and you know, if that happens with a client or a patient with me, then I tell myself, well, he's giving the best he can. Who am I to make, to scold him? Who am I to tell, well, this guy or this woman is not good? You know? And this brings me back very, very, very fast to my origin, and I see, well, you know, only if someone does not appear the way I like him to appear, that does not mean he's a bad person. And of course, there might be manifestations which I'm not willing to accept. And then I have to really see, do I want to go on working with this person? Or is it too much for me? For me, not for me.
So, yes.
Can I really serve this person with this attitude or not? And if I have to admit I cannot serve this person with the attitude I have, then I have to tell the person, I'm very sorry. I cannot work with you. It's not your fault. It's completely my inability. I will send you to a colleague of mine who I highly estimate, and he will definitely have a better chance to be with you. Like that.
Yes, your limits. Very, very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also important to not care about what people think about you. It's really like, you know, my dad always has been quite a character. We didn't get along too well when I was young. Now we have a wonderful relationship. He's 93 now, lives on his own. He's living his life like an old turtle, but very like dignified, very slowly. And I learned from him not to give a damn about what people think about me. You know? And that was one of the most important lessons I got from him. It's like, if you do your thing, if you do what you love, half of the world population will hate you for that. But the other half will love you. It's only a question where you look. And we tend to look in the direction of the people who hate us and go like, oh my God, I have to change something. If we look in this direction, we go like, oh, I'm fine, hi. Like that, you know.
The proof that we have an individuality is that half of the world hate us.
You say it.
If we have no enemy,
then we're not there.
we are not there.
Yeah.
Yes. How about then being peaceful, being spiritual, trying to be kind? What about kindness there? So it's our way of relating to the world, not the world as relating to us, to ourselves.
True.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I have a truckload of thoughts in the moment in my head. It just popped up that this one saying of Jesus, if someone slaps you on the right side, to give him the left also.
Yes.
And it's like kindness. For me, it's three principles which define my world. It's kindness, generosity, compassion.
Kindness, generosity, and compassion.
Yes. So I'm probably not always kind, because I have my limits. I'm just a human being. Sometimes I screw up. But it's like a decision you have. I did for a long time consciously, and now it's more like a given every morning. this will be a day of kindness, generosity and compassion. And meanwhile it has become like a second skin. And because I practice it for so long, it's no more fake. I'm sorry to say that there is a lot of spiritual people who pretend to be kind.
Yes, they repress their awareness, in fact.
And when they go home, they beat their children probably, or they are very unkind with their husbands or wives.
That's why maybe I heard the principle that if somebody slap you, you have to mirror him and do the same in order to put yourself
Balance.
in the same level. Otherwise, if you are a saint, you are only trying to dominate the other one.
I completely agree, but there's one step missing.
Yes.
If someone hits me,
Yeah.
and I try to pretend to be a saint, then I go, oh my dear, you hit me. It must be terrible for you. Really, I wouldn't love to live in a body like this. What can I do for you? This is just spiritual mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That if you go like, you hurt me. That was really painful for me.
Yes.
And why did you do this? There is no need for that. And I need to take some distance now, because I will not answer your violence with my violence. But I need to take some time to lick my wounds, so to speak. Then you stay authentically, and you do not pretend to be more better, more developed, whatever. You just go like, that was not right. That was not right. And you retract. And you leave the other person with this.
Yeah.
You know?
We have only 9 minutes, something.
Wow.
Yes.
That was
And
fast.
we have not touched even your method, your creation. So, please,
Yeah.
a few words at least. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was originally trained as a primal therapist, which means you work in depths with really primal feelings.
Yes, Arthur Siano of Discovery.
Yes, like being lost as a child, discovering that you are not wanted the way you are, being violated like a child, being pressed into a schemata of you get only food every 4 hours. What if I'm a baby and I'm hungry after 2 hours? Years of work, this method which I call deep soul breathing, which is a method in which you use your breath in a certain way, and it's like you unlock all those areas, all those chambers you have been locking because it was too painful to be in there. So you unlock it and you release what is in this chamber, like whatever it is, maybe fear, maybe pain, maybe whatever. Sometimes it can also be a big laugh. You know, sometimes I had people laughing for a whole hour, and afterwards they said, "I cannot have lunch. My stomach is hurting." You know, like that. And by doing this, you gradually you take back lost parts of yourself, and you become a whole person, piece by piece. You know, and this is really a wonderful work to see people working with this and to see people growing and tuning into this. And again, it shows the beauty of every human being. There is no such thing as an ugly human being, even if they probably do not look like whatever, like the standard of you think they should look like. They look different, but if you look into their eyes, if you allow yourself to feel their radiation, their soul, you always come up with this being is beautiful. And this is what I said in the beginning, we all carry this divine spark
Yeah.
you know, and it is expressed by our eyes, it's expressed by our deeds, it's expressed in the way we breathe and we take time in this world.
We are near in the end, few minutes, and came through my mind the subject of happiness. Are you happy?
Yes.
And what is happiness for
Well,
you?
happiness is like, you know, happiness is a great thing, but it's not the goal. The goal is fulfillment.
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment. When you are fulfilled in your life, that means when you have found, what do I do here? Why do I do it?
The reason?
Yeah, what has called me into this life? What is my heart's desire in this life? When you've found this, then you can follow it and you find fulfillment. And in this fulfillment, there's a lot of happiness. There's also sadness and anger and all of that. But you know, the fulfillment is when you found this. One day we will all leave. You know, we will go to the other shore, and if you can look back and you can say, "Well, I'm fulfilled in what I did." You know, I have never become a great spiritual master or an influential politician, whatever. But I'm just who I am. I want to look back, I can see, yes, it was good. Thank you very much. Then I can really leave like an expiration, like, and that's it.
This is our last expiration is maybe the most important.
Yes.
One, as our thirst primal.
Yes.
Beginning and the end.
So the whole life is like in bracelets. Do you say bracelet?
A rainbow, maybe some.
Yeah, it's like it
Yes,
starts with a breast, it's ends with a breast, and in between is breasts.
Yes.
Like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel inspired.
Great.
About
I'm happy.
Inspiration and being inspired and allowing us to feel the life.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
For your way of touching me with the eyes, and yeah, this is very, very important to have time and space to allow to touch the other one. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for allowing me to touch you.
Thank you. I know that we'll finish as we began.
Yes.
Thank you again.
This is this is a part out of the inauguration speech of Nelson Mandela. Meanwhile, I know he did not write it himself. Someone wrote it for him. It was a woman, actually. It goes like this. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not in some of us, it's in every one of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Thank you.